Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Siffany's Walk with Grace.
Hello.
So today we're here because we found out some more of my medical crap, and Grace had some stuff she was hoping to discuss, and I told her that I was willing to do it over this so that other people could benefit.
Yeah. I guess maybe the subject is the fact that our time here on Earth is limited, whether it's 99 years or a day, that we're all kind of here on borrowed time. And how often do we kind of hone into that? Should we hone into that? Um, but it kind of smacked me upside the head yesterday. So when I found out a little bit more about your diagnosis, we know that you have the Ehlers-Danlos hypermobility type, which is, I don't know if that's the most common, but we know it's a connective tissue disorder. For us, we're very hypermobile, so we have to be really careful with our joints. Being a connective tissue disorder, it means, and I say I actually haven't been formally diagnosed yet, but I, pretty sure when I made the appointment at the doctor's office, I said, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And she kind of laughed. But with you, there's always been more. There's, we look different, we behave different, we have different issues going on. It's played out differently in my life than it has in yours. You're 24 years younger than me. Um, for me, I've always kind of learned to just kind of be careful what I'm doing. And so yesterday I found out that you've told me. I guess I hadn't really looked into it. I hadn't really done done a whole lot of there's 12 different subcategories to Ehlers-Danlos. We know about the hypermobility. You and your younger sister, we were in the office yesterday, same office that you've been going to because they specialize in this. She's been diagnosed with the hypermobility. And it finally hit me because you had shared that you have one of the subcategories. And that subcategory is called vascular. I think it's called
I
vascular.
think so.
Okay. Um, I, I don't know why I didn't look into it before then, but I'm in the office, and because we have shared that it's okay to talk about each other in the
Oh,
office,
yes, I
just
signed a
let everybody
waiver
know
so
that's
that
clear.
they were allowed to communicate. And part of the reason, not to go off subject, but part of why I did that is that there's not a lot known about Ehlers-Danlos. And so, whatever we can do to help with research to help people in the future along our way, we plan on doing. And if that means making a familial connection, if there is one, then so be it. So we agreed that we were just going to allow her to share our information, and there might be some relevance to it by having the cases a bit able to communicate each other's diagnosis
Yes.
stuff.
Yes, and because it's genetic and we share some, obviously we share our genetics. Um, anyway, one of them had mentioned, that you have the vascular, and that's when it kind of hit me. They left the room, and I go to my Google to look this up. And of the categories, it is the one that has a decrease in lifespan. It is the most difficult one. There isn't a treatment. Um, and out of the blue, it just hit me like, whoa. And I did my best to compose myself. Um, got out of there. Thank goodness your younger sister was really tired. So she fell asleep. So I was able to kind of be in my head and in my heart on our hour-and-a-half long drive home. Shed some tears. And I don't know, as a parent, I've looked at my own death, and feel like I've gotten pretty comfortable. I don't know if you're ever really truly comfortable with the idea of dying, or at least knowing you have a limited time, but there's something different. I think as parents, we don't think about outliving our children, or at least not very often. But that's what came up for me yesterday on my way home and last night. And so I just really felt like it was important to maybe talk about, because, we've talked about your side, and we've talked about, that we are on borrowed time, all of us. So how best to live the time that you have here. You've done a lot of work and working on that. I see you working on that. But I don't know that I really had it in my head. I've never thought of the possibility of, I've always thought about you guys losing me, but I've never really thought about me losing you. And I don't mean to be, doom and gloom. And I'm sure, I don't know if you have another 60 years or 10 years or 5 years. But it doesn't matter. What came up for me more than after the realization that, oh my gosh, I never thought about losing one of you, or at least not very often. It might be a fleeting kind of thing. But how much I want to cherish our time. So
Yeah,
I guess that's it.
the reason I didn't say anything is because the test came back negative for now, and so for now there's not a reason to be as concerned anyway. And I didn't want my family to be to have to feel lost before it happens, I guess. And I'm not saying that I would be an asshole and just like wait till I was dead for you to find out, but I didn't want to say anything before like it actually occurs. Um, and part of that, I guess, is that I'm already viewed as being very fragile, and I don't want to be more fragile in everybody's eyes. I don't want pity. I don't want um every moment to be have a hint of sadness behind it.
Yeah. Okay, I need some clarification here for a second, honey. I'm sorry. Because I think that was part of that kind of messed me up a little bit. That they did a specific test on a specific area of your body
Yeah,
that
so they did an ultrasound on my aortic artery because if I guess I don't know if it gets inflamed or if it's like a growth or what exactly they look for, but there's something that occurs in the aortic artery, and if it gets too big and it ruptures, you have to get to the hospital like immediately for surgery, or you're done.
or you're done. Yeah. But in my mind, and maybe that's something we need to ask the doctors, that's not your only.
It's the only thing she was worried about.
Huh.
I mean, I
Okay.
didn't ask very many questions because it was a lot, but
That's a lot.
that was really all
Yeah.
that she was worried about. And she said that we just keep up on ultrasounds and stuff.
keep up on ultrasounds. Yeah, that's what I read too, that it's something you kind of want to just really keep a good eye on. But
Which really sucks because that was the most painful ultrasound I've ever had. Like it felt like I got gut punched for like a day and a freaking half.
ooh.
And fair warning, it all the way felt like somebody just uppercutted me in the base of my rib cage. Like went down and then up into my rib cage. Like it it hurt so bad.
Oh, really? Oh, I guess I thought they would
Oh
have
yeah,
looked in
no,
your
she
neck.
had to put all kinds of pressure and she told me the reason that they don't let you eat beforehand is because of how hard they have to push.
Wow.
Yeah, would have been great to
Oh,
have that in advance knowledge. So you're welcome, world. It was really unpleasant finding out the hard way.
yikes.
Kicker, I have pain meds that I can take. I didn't think I needed one. They weren't
Yeah.
even on me. They were left at home because I didn't think it was going to be. So, if any doctors watch this, if y'all want to make your patients' experiences a little bit better, try to give them at least some kind of warning about what they're walking into.
What
Because
they're walking
I have
into.
white coat syndrome, and walking into that, I almost had a freaking heart attack. Like, no,
Wow.
you, no, that was not acceptable in my opinion.
Wow.
And they do that all the time with tests. They'll give you minimal information and then they wonder why we freak out when we end up having it happen. But I didn't think I was getting sucker punched in the gut for an ultrasound.
Right. And like I said, I thought they were looking like
No,
on your neck, but
it's down. I'll tilt my screen. So like from here basically to like the belly button area is the area that it ends up happening in most of the time. So that is where they do the ultrasound. So it dug
oh.
into right there, and it really did feel like I was just taking a an uppercut to the rib cage, like under the rib cage. I mean, it
Oh,
was
wow.
it was rough, but it's mandatory. I mean, a day and a half of feeling like crap is better than not knowing if something is there. But heads up for people that are getting this test because I didn't know, I wasn't prepared. Now you know, and hopefully you can go prepared. I mean,
Yeah.
it might have been my person too. She said something about her being heavy-handed, which is not cool. But
Yeah. Wow.
so,
Wow.
and it's because it's in like the center of your body, so they have to like push all the extra crap out of the way to be able to see it, I guess.
Yeah, they got to get in
Something
there.
about like if there's like gas in your stomach, they can't get an image, and that's why you can't drink stuff. Because if you were to like slam a soda and end up with a bunch of bubbles in there, she wouldn't get a clear picture.
Hmm. Wow.
There's multiple reasons, but the main one she said was the puking.
Yeah. Dang. Okay. So um, what do we do with all this information?
Well, I mean, it doesn't really change for me because I've already kind of almost stared death down a couple times. So I've already gone through the emotion a few times, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
I don't like to say anything until I know for sure. And one time I went in thinking I had a brain tumor and it wound up being a cyst. Not that it's much better, but I wasn't going to go tell you guys, oh, I might have cancer if I didn't know for sure, because then everybody's fretting for nothing if it's not the case, which it wasn't the case. So, that's why I wait till after the test. And like, I know some people might take offense to it, but at the same time, like 99% of mine have been negative when they've gone in. This is the first one that's like, okay, well, you for sure have the diagnosis, you just don't have the actual thing. Like, I, and that's weird. But I've already gone through the motions of, okay, well, if I do have something that could kill me, then how do I want to live? And so for me, nothing really changed very much, except for that, like, the chances are higher now as an end
Yeah.
result than they were before as an end result. But like, I went through the motions before I got the results. So I had already felt it when they told me the results, if that makes sense. Like all of my stuff where I thought that I might end up dead.
Yeah. So you had been kind of sitting with it quietly on your own,
Yes, no.
trying to.
If I do feel like I need to talk to somebody, I pick the one that I feel like isn't going to be as heavily affected as others.
Mm,
That way I still have someone that I can cry with if I need to, but at least they're not gonna fret as hard as other people will.
gotcha.
So it minimizes the pain I'm causing to others.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I can understand that.
And you hear a lot of stories of people with like cancer, for example, that their relatives are like, "Oh my God, why didn't they tell me that?" And now you know why. Because
That's why.
we don't want you to have sad, happy memories for the rest of our lives. We'd rather them just be happy memories and be sad when it's time to be sad.
Mm, good point.
That's really what it is for me.
I actually like that. Yeah. So, so my job, because I know now, and I know that like you're safe now, but I also know it can happen at any time.
Look at it like this. Look at it like a natural disaster. A hurricane can happen on the coast anytime. A tornado can hit
Absolutely.
Oklahoma anytime, and we can get flooded out anytime because of where I live. So
Yep.
look
Yep.
at it like that. Like, and we learn
Yeah.
to live with that stuff every day.
Every day.
All the
Absolutely. I
fires
mean,
Colorado has, and we're still crazy enough to stay here. But we know it's probably going to happen at least once a year because that seems to be the regular now.
'cause that's the regular.
But
Yeah.
it's something that we come to terms with, we accept, and we're not sad about it unless we're driving through a scar on the mountain. We're not sad about it unless it's actively happening.
Yeah. 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 And I've said for a long time, I mean, you know, you could die on your way home from work.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a semi rolling over is how I'm gonna die, so I'm not even really too worried. I felt
Yeah.
that way for a long time. I'm just gonna get
What did you say?
flattened. I'm gonna get flattened by a semi truck. It's gonna roll over and squish me, and that's how I go out. And I felt that way for a very long time. So if it actually happens, it's on video. That's a premonition, okay? If it doesn't happen, I look
Oh,
like an idiot when the time comes. But you know what? I just semi trucks. There's something about it.
yeah. Well, you don't look like an idiot though. That's one of the big things we've also talked about on this show is getting in touch with that, what we consider the mystical side of things and normalize that more.
That's true.
That's, are you cutting off that piece of you that might be telling you something? What do you do with that information? Just file it
Oh, I
away.
don't pass semi trucks while they're turning, that's for sure.
Well, there you go.
Straightaways only, and only if I can fly past them and then slow back down.
Yeah, yeah. On that note, for the record, there's a turn off 85, 87 as you're going into Whitefield over the railroad tracks.
Mm-hmm.
At that light, I have it's not as bad now. I've kind of gotten over it, but for a long, long, long time, I felt like something bad was going to happen to me at that intersection.
Hmm.
I, death, I don't know, but it felt like something like this is the spot. So is that kind of weird? But
I mean, that's how I feel every time a semi passes me. So I'm like, ah, this
yeah,
is how I die.
yeah, yeah. So for me, it's like this particular place
Right.
that every time I get up to, I'm like, oh, it almost like it just gives me the shivers. And,
Yeah.
I don't know, but
That's
it
how I
doesn't.
feel every time I pass a semi. So that's another reason that I'm not really gonna let it bother me. Like I don't even think that's what's gonna take me. So why let it become a and the more you dwell on everything, sorry, I have a cat hair like in my eye. I gave one love before I closed the door. Um, it's been bothering me and I couldn't get it out. But yeah, for
Mm.
me, I think part of it too is just that like you never know when it's gonna happen. B, something like that, like it involves your heart, which is your arteries, right? Like the arteries, which involves the heart. Sorry, I have dyslexia too. And so my logic is okay, whatever I can do to de-stress and
Mm-hmm.
not get my heart pumping. And I feel like I've always paid attention to how my heart feels too, just because like I don't know why, but like okay, no, I do know why. I have a friend that's had multiple open heart surgeries. I don't want that, but I also don't want to like have anything happen. And one of them, it was a very close call. And then like I've known people with like weird other stuff with their heart and so like most of my life, I just have known people with heart issues. So I've always paid really close attention to that muscle. Like that's the most vital muscle in your entire body. And and it is a
Yeah, it is.
muscle. But just like any other muscle, you don't want to overuse it. So I need to stop stressing about what just what most people call stupid stuff is what I stress about. So I'm trying to let go of that stuff. I'm trying to not involve myself in stressful situations. And I'm trying to prevent stressful situations for myself as well. And as well as like I've been trying really hard to like eat better. Not that I was eating too bad. I really enjoy cooking. So there's a lot of fresh food made, but like when the nights I don't cook, I go and I heat up something frozen. Like that's not very good for you. So I'm trying to get out of that habit. Um, trying to wean
Mm.
off of soda, trying to do all these things, and exercise. Like I know I can't do a lot of different things physically, but I'm trying to still exercise to the best of my abilities and maintain that, knowing that just like any other muscle, exercise matters or it's just going to stop because it's going to dystrophy. And like what happens if you just stop for so long? Does your whole body dystrophy? Is it only one limb? I don't know and I don't want to find out. So these are the methods I'm doing as preventative measures, and that also helps me feel more comfortable. Like if something does happen, nobody can hold a grudge and say, well, she didn't try. And
Mm.
B, you know, hopefully nothing comes of it because I did all this stuff and I'm able to get plowed by a semi and pancaked instead. Either way, it sounds like it'll be quick. And that's also a relief. And I know not everybody can say that. And I apologize. Humor is what makes me able to handle these situations. I know a lot of people find that very dark, but it's my coping skill. It's how I cope with it. I have to make jokes about it. Because then at least I can say it brought someone a smile if something happens. That's really why I'm so humorous and joking. And yeah, at least it brought a smile. It wasn't for not.
Yeah, gotcha.
And that's just how I try to live now. So
Yeah. And okay, so as you're learning to live in this new way, how does it feel now in the moment?
it's easier for me to not really think about it too much.
Okay,
Because I've been trying to enjoy the moment.
good.
All of them, even if they seem minuscule and ridiculous, like
Yeah, well, because I know for me, the more changes I make to make myself feel as healthy as I can, the exercising, the better food, checking my thoughts and paying attention to the moment, but paying attention to the feelings and working on all that stuff. I I feel like the quality of my life has gotten better. I have not dealt with depression for a couple years now. Like I
yeah.
really feel like that piece of me, that dark piece of me, I feel like it's gone.
And
Like never to return.
I think part of the reason for that is that like when we're stressing about stuff and we're all depressed, it's because it feels like it's dragging on forever and
Mm-hmm.
we can't get out. But when you realize there is no forever and it's really staring you in the face, it's a lot easier to acknowledge that, okay, it'll pass.
It'll pass.
For
Yeah.
me, I don't know if it's a different
Yeah.
for your perspective, but that's what made me get to that point.
Yeah, no, I think that that was a big piece for me because I think when I was really struggling with my depression, I did not see the good. I did not see that it was ever going to change. I had a very difficult time knowing or understanding the ebb and flow of things and that, this too shall pass. But for me, it felt like an eternity. Getting myself out of it was horrendous. But that was my process, was trying to get myself out of it instead of just, you know what? It is okay to be sad right now. It is okay to feel the way that I'm feeling. Be okay with that because this is not forever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you got that piece way faster than me. It has taken me a very, very long time on that regard. So yeah, our thoughts and our feelings in these bodies are not permanent, but what is? What continues on?
I do want to add
And
one thing before we stop.
okay, go ahead.
Um, so I recently gotten to know someone with Crohn's disease,
Mm,
and I think it was Crohn's. That's the one with your stomach's all messed up, right?
yes.
Okay, yeah. So I recently gotten to know someone with Crohn's disease, and it's it's really easy to feel bad for yourself in a situation where you're told that your heart might just pop one day. Um but it's a lot easier to feel better about yourself and be able to be sympathetic to others by still looking at what's around you, because I've known people that have gotten, certain illnesses or certain things, and then all of a sudden, like, everyone else's sicknesses are just completely invalidated because it's not to that level. And I feel like it's important to keep in mind that, like, they are still valid. It's everyone's experience on this earth is different, but that doesn't mean that we can't still find solutions together. And one of the best things that helped me was I got to know this person, and I was like, dang, dude, like, I might be messed up, but I am so thankful that I am not in this person's shoes. And oh my God, I hope she finds relief.
Yeah, I think that's a very big, excellent point also to maybe end on today is yeah, don't get stuck on your own story because everybody's story is unique. Everybody's story is felt, the feelings are still similar. That's why I talk about the story versus, the content. And the content is more, kind of that feeling and the thoughts that we have around it. And we can really get stuck in our own little hells of, you know, a body that hurts and a life that hurts. But if we're able to kind of get outside that, to kind of get that higher perspective and look around us, we can always find, someone that's, their story. We're like, thank God that's not my story.
Yep.
And yeah, and I think in that way, I think we can be more helpful to each other. And certainly we're allowing for connection rather than disconnect. And disconnect is the most painful thing in life, is that feeling of being separated, the feeling of being the only one, or the feeling of, that separation that I think is kind of our job here, is to understand and get to know and how to work with the idea that no, we're really not separate. We really you know, we all feel the same things, and in some way, shape, or form, the story's different, but the underlying humanness of us is the same.
Yep.
So thank you very much for sharing, Siffany. Thank you for letting audience, whoever's out there watching this, thank you for listening. Thank you for walking this walk with me and Siffany. Share with us in the comments.
Yeah, please do. I mean, if you have other things that you do too that we didn't bring up, by all means. And
Yeah.
I will say that I do think it's important to make sure that your people know, like them doing the ultrasound regularly, they'll catch it before it happens. And I'll have time to still be able to talk with them and let them have that with me too. And I want to also push that too as my final thought, because I do think that matters. And yeah, it's hard. And yeah, it's probably going to be one of the hardest things you'll ever do. But at the end of the day, it feels wrong to take that from someone, because I know what it's like to not have that. And they're the ones that are left here. So give that to them, please. It matters. It really does. If you're able to. I mean, obviously they can't hold it against you if it's something out of the blue, like the semi truck rolling over on me. But if you have the opportunity, you should share that with them. And you might be surprised. That might be just what you need to feel at peace. So we know this is a hard one. Thank you for sticking with us. And
Yeah.
live in the moment.
Yep. Live in the moment. And you are talking about something maybe we could try to hit on another time, and that is, you know, why do we hold off on, you know, telling someone the bad news, and what is that like, and what's the positive of telling them, you know, the bad news. So but we can look into that on another time. I think there's a lot there. So
Yeah.
okay. Okay. Thank you for watching Tiffany's Walk with Grace.
You guys have a great day.
Okay.
Hey guys, so just to clarify, because Grace pointed out I wasn't that thorough about, so I still don't know that much about it. I just know that the aortic artery has a chance of rupture, but there's like some kind of growth or something that happens with it first, usually, that they can catch it. And so that's what I'm leaning with. Beyond that, I'm not entirely sure. So I don't have the growth. That's what the ultrasound was for, which is why I'm leaning on I'm okay. The other thing is that the aortic artery thing is only loosely connected to the other one, meaning that there's not like solid hard evidence saying, yes, it happens to people with this diagnosis. So I'm also keeping that in mind as well. Hope that helps.